A stunning picture. Hong Kongers, your beautiful no extradition to China. The numbers were overwhelming, as you can see from this photograph, Apple Daily Hong Kong. My article over the weekend used the quote by Hugh Masakela, "I want to be there when the people turn it around." There are decades when nothing happens, and there are weeks where decades happen, said Vladimir Ilyich Lenin. The zeitgeist of a time is its defining spirit or its mood. Capturing the zeitgeist of the now is not an easy thing, because we are living in a dizzyingly fluid moment. Charles Onyango Obo, Kobo 3, tweeted, "Police tear gas Malawi protests against Mutharika's election theft, aka the TIPEX solution. In Liberia, demos against corruption, where shutters the internet. In Sudan, the military slaughter 100 in continuing pro-democracy protests weeks after Bashir fell. In Algeria, Bouteflika ousted by protesters. What's up?" I asked, indeed, what's up? Let's start in Khartoum. The zeitgeist of the revolution was as intoxicating as the oud that the Saudi Arabian ambassador once gave me, and I found myself semi-delirious, intoxicated on my own perfume. The exquisite murals, the composition of the crowds, the element of girl power which spoke to hope and a future. As I watched events unfold, it felt like Sudan was a portal into a whole new, another normal. David Pilling in the Financial Times captured the essence by quoting William Wordsworth, who wrote of the French Revolution, "Oh, pleasant exercise of hope and joy, for mighty were the auxiliaries which then stood upon our side. We who were strong in love, bliss was it in that dawn to be alive. But to be young was very heaven. Not in utopia, subterranean fields, or some secreted island heaven knows where, but in the very world which is the world of all of us, the place where in the end we find our happiness or not at all." And then Darfur came to Khartoum, he concluded, or was it Tiananmen or Tahrir Square? And now we have two visions of the future. One vision played out on our screens. The protesters could have been our wives, our children, our daughters and sons. The other vision is that of MBS, MBZ and Al-Sisi, and it's red in tooth and claw. Vladimir and Xi back the Gulf, and America is below the radar. Hugh Masakela said, "I want to be there when the people start to turn it around." Sudan is a Masakela pivot moment. Down south, the rand crossed 15 levels, which was seen only previously in extremis, like when President Zuma conjured up Des Van Rooyen as his finance minister. Essentially, the rand was ace Magashule. Magashule spooked the markets with his televised declaration that the ANC had decided to broaden the mandate of the Reserve Bank and told the government to implement quantitative easing. He referred to it as quality easing. Max Duprice wrote as follows in the online Afrikaans weekly Vera Weekblad. ANC factions are waging war in public. The economy retracted sharply in the first quarter. Populists in the ruling party are flirting with radical economic concepts such as quantitative easing and are determined to undermine the status of the Reserve Bank. It seems there is an increase in violent crime and farm attacks. The rand is close to 15. It went over on Friday. It's back below again. Eskom, Transnet and SAA are close to collapse. The ANC is in open rebellion, except, as Thabo learned, the president serves at the pleasure of the ANC and not the other way around. I don't see how this gets finessed. In fact, the direction of travel is for the fissure to get wider. Add into the mix a very soft Q1 and a China-South Africa feedback loop, which is undergoing a trend reversal, and we have some ingredients in play pointing to a further slide in the rand. I would be selling rebounds and out-of-the-money call options and buying puts with the premium received. Zimbabwe has finally dialed up Madame Lagarde, but here too Mnangagwa is not only in the habit of hitching rides on MBZ's planes, I'm sure well-appointed planes, but also leans to MBZ's vision of the future. Let's turn our gaze to Zambia, where President Lungu is seeking to nationalize Mr. Agarwal's copper mines, and the strategy seems to be to flip it and probably clip the transaction for some juicy brokerage. The problem with this strategy is that the price of copper is down 11.4% since mid-April, and there is simply nothing left of FX reserves. Bond yields are in default territory. This is a Hail Mary pass, I'm afraid, and Lungu's cashew nut moment. What happened to the cashew nut crop in Tanzania? What I missed entirely, however, was the big spike in Snapchat, up 155% year to date, that was in brackets. African rare earth producers. Having spoken about it on my show on Metropole TV at least 2 weeks ago, when I said this might prove a hallelujah moment, a geopolitical renaissance for President Pierre Nkurunziza, because there are rare earths in Burundi. Reuters reported that the Pentagon has held talks with both companies following threats by Beijing to cut off supply to the country. Rainbow Rare Earths is developing a project in Burundi, said it could neither confirm nor deny the news. Makango, which wants to build a mine and processing plant in Malawi, did not immediately respond to a request to comment. Rainbow Rare Earths traded up 38%, Makango up 42%. Rare earths are a group of 17 niche minerals that are used in electronics, electric cars, and some military equipment such as night vision goggles and lasers. And therefore, it is a quandary, isn't it? It is better to act than to say, as it were. That took me to T.S. Eliot's The Hollow Men, Mr. Kurtz, he dead, a penny for the old guy. Between the idea and the reality, between the motion and the act, falls the shadow. I missed that Snapchat rally. Obviously, it's evidenced in this image. Which social media platforms do teenagers prefer in 2019? And Snapchat is way ahead. The scale of this no extradition to China protest is comparable to the umbrella revolution of the July 1st protest back in 2003. What will come of it is another matter entirely.